Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast on Matchday European Matchday preview. And as you can see, I'm joined by James. How you doing, my friend? How's your week been?
Very well, Ryan. Thanks for having me, and thanks very much for your flexibility. Really appreciate it, pal. Thank you.
Absolutely no problem. Obviously, when the draw was made, this was the plan, obviously, to do these sort of things. And I know you're obviously going to the game on Thursday, and you've got a lot of travelling to do. So I'm more than flexible. So I'm more appreciated as well that you're obviously fitting actually being able to fit time around to get this sorted. But yeah, I mean, a lot's happened in the last under a week, actually, about 5 days. We've got another Prime Minister. We haven't lost since 2 Prime Ministers ago.
Unbelievable, eh? You know, when I was a young boy, you only had I was too young to remember Thatcher, and then obviously John Major and Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, and now they're like London buses. But you hope for you hope for stability with the country. You know, I am still British, even though I've been away for almost 2 decades now. But I still have family and friends in the UK. I still want them to do well. You know, I still want them to be able to crack on in life, because that's what it's all about.
No, exactly. All jokes aside, from the politics side of things, as I say, we're still unbeaten technically. We did drop points at the weekend, but then we're going to touch on PSV as well in terms of how they've reacted since last Thursday's defeat to us.
Yes, they had a very difficult Sunday afternoon in Groningen. I wonder if we're recording, Ryan, because on the top left-hand corner it's got scheduled. Normally the time is ticking.
It says live on my end.
Oh, okay. On my end it comes up with schedule, but it's not to worry.
No, it's
not to worry.
I'll double check in a sec. But yeah, in terms of PSV, as you say, they're a very interesting Sunday. I think you mentioned it to me in the WhatsApp.
Yeah. Yeah, losing 4-2 to FC Groningen, who are very good at home. You know, Groningen, they're based just like Eindhoven in a province called Friesland, right in the north of the country. And it's their home form which always dictates how well they do of an Eredivisie season. And a 4-2 win, Joey Pelu-Pessi, who Sheffield Wednesday fans might remember, also scored in the 92nd minute. I interviewed him back in 2019 when he played for Sheffield Wednesday and spoke about his time at Heracles and the differences between the Eredivisie and the Championship. So I maintain that although Van Nistelrooy speaks really, really well, which he does, you know, it's not easy to be a fully fledged football manager. You know, Eredivisie, people love to downplay the division, but it's always been very much an acquired taste. And, you know, away losses to Groningen, an away loss to Cambuur Leeuwarden. It doesn't make for good reading, but hopefully Van Nistelrooy will learn quickly.
Yeah, I mean, what is going into this game with obviously losing to Arsenal last Thursday and then the big defeat they've suffered at home, as you say, on Sunday? What is the mood going into this game? Because obviously we said this last week that PSV away for us will be the more difficult out of the two ties. Do the locals and do the media still believe that's to be the case, or are they a bit rocked now because of what recent results?
Well, obviously in Eindhoven they're a bit concerned with the away loss to Groningen, but they always harboured ambitions that the away tie they'd be able to get something out of it. But I think that PSV now, they want to consolidate second, try to win the game and take it to the last round of games. But you know, when it was 0-0 at the Emirates, it was looking, this could be a decent result to be a draw. But you know, they felt they could have got more. But that one lap, the fallout over here is very much that one lapse in concentration really made them pay. So it looks as if PSV will be facing a Champions League dropout with the second leg away from home, which won't be easy. And as I've said before, of all 8 Champions League dropouts, I don't expect all 8 of them to go through to the last 16. And should Arsenal get that point that we need, then we are in the last 16. And then we're only 7 games from Budapest. So I hope we have another 7 episodes. That'd be wonderful. But I think the draw is going to be vitally important. You know, we didn't win last weekend, but I was at St Mary's back in April when we lost 1-0 through a goal by Bednarek. So to draw this time round, it's not as bad, and it's a long old season, as we know only too well. We've got a World Cup in between, which is going to throw everybody off course. And from my point of view, It's just about getting as many points as we can before the World Cup, and then hopefully having a good season where the objective remains to win a trophy. So long as we win a trophy, I mean, people talk about Champions League participation. We was in it for 23 years, Ryan. We was in it for 23 years, and of those 23 years,
one final.
if one fight, yes. And people love to say, "Oh, European nights." Well, I didn't enjoy getting whipped by Monaco. I knew they were a good side, but I didn't enjoy losing to them. And the yearly getting taken out by Bayern Munich or Barcelona,
or both at the same time.
Yeah, but it's also as well. Next season is the last Champions League season before it goes to a Super League in everything but name. So even when you're clued up on European football, you've got to double check the rules and double check all the qualification process. But at least we've got our memories. That's the most important thing. I mean, even touching on Bodo Glimt, I was at the home game where we won 3-0. And I was sitting literally next to the away fans, and one of them tried to give me his scarf, which I didn't take. And I was chatting to him. I said, your team's come a long way, haven't they? And do you know what his response was? We're just having fun. That's what his response was. We are just having fun. And, I think with FC Zurich, it'd be interesting to see what that's like on the final match day. But as I say, I remember speaking to a fan at Ellen Road where Gunnar appeared to be concerned about Atletico maybe dropping out, or Milan, or Juventus, or Ajax. As I've said before, I will go on record to say that I am more concerned about Stade Rennes, Real Sociedad, or Real Betis, because if we face one of those three teams over two legs, one of them will knock us out. So I hope to avoid that. And also, you can't pick and choose who you're going to have. I mean, if you look at our European games through the years, beat Napoli, beat Rennes, lost to Bati Borisov, lost to Ostersunds. You can't pick and choose. You got to try to enjoy the run, and I just hope that we can have a good Europa League campaign which finishes in Budapest. But as I said on the last channel when I came on during the PSV game, if you look at the pattern, Ryan, the final is always a Champions League dropout against the team which has been in it from the off, and I think that will be the same this time round.
I mean, what was it? I'm trying to think now. When Inter Milan dropped in and they went up against Sevilla, who, as you say, Sevilla they were doing it from day dot. They went all the way. They won it, and into a heavily favoured because of the Conte factor, and they were a Champions League side. And Atletico, when they dropped into they won it the year that Wenger eventually then was left. They dropped in, and was it Marseille they had in the final as well? It was Marseille, wasn't it? And
yes,
Marseille
was
was a team that went from deep. So that historically, that is recent history wise, that is the case. That so you wouldn't bet against it this time round. And if you look at the last season's final four, Rangers, West Ham, Frankfurt, and I think the other one was Barcelona. Barcelona was the team that drops in, but they didn't make it because they underestimated Frankfurt.
Frankfurt were priced at 8-1 to win that game in the Camp Nou. And that I don't advocate gambling, but I jumped on that. But Frankfurt, they a very good side. Even now in the Champions League, they don't look out of place. And I think that it will be very interesting. And as I've said before, Ryan, we've got to enjoy the journey. I mean, from my point of view, I know that games from Amsterdam are not going to last forever. So it's just about kind of polishing them off, and then you've got your memories, and nobody can take them away from you. I look forward to FC Zurich at home. Not this Thursday, but next. So it's a very busy week for yours truly. But that's what you want, because there will be a time where you look back and think, with pride, of course, and also giving other people the opportunity. You're not going to get to every single European game, but you've also got to give other fans the opportunity to have their their European experiences, because I've been so lucky through the years, Ryan, but it's always about taking your chances when they come, and making sure that you jump on it. And I'm looking forward to an eventual knockout phase. And, I hope for a double header. I'd love a double header away to Real Betis or a Sociedad or a Sporting Lisbon, maybe, who knows? But it'd be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm looking again. I wasn't expecting us to get back in Europe so quickly. Like when it was place of just the one season, I think we discussed it and we fell out of Europe with ourselves, and James as well, James Johnston. We discussed at the back end of the season that it could be a long time coming. We could be out of Europe for a while. So for us to then just obviously come back in, even though it wasn't the one everyone in the end wanted, but we still got European football in terms of and it was Europa League as well. It wasn't the conference, even though it's on a Thursday night. It's just obviously you can't have it in the neck from all the rivals and all that. But we're back in Europe, and we've played like we haven't been away. Really, it's like we haven't been away in terms of how we just even had that year. We've got to remember most of these players that we've got now weren't here the last time we was in Europe. Which when you say when there's a year, it's bizarre to say that, but. Matt Turner, obviously just signed, but he's never had a European football experience at all. Obviously, Ramsdale's never had any European experience as a goalkeeper either. I think now Gabriel had that one season with us before he dropped out. I think now Tommy Yasu, your top European footballer in his career. Smith Rowe and Saka, they're just getting into the groove of things. Martinelli was a bit part player at the time. They weren't first teamers. These are first teamers now that are playing. Obviously, take us first team regulars when they're fit. And as I say, it's like we weren't. It's like we haven't left Europe, and like it's just okay. We're back in. We're back in, but we're not back in it. We're going to get on with it, and game by game, we'll take it as it is, and with the aim of obviously because it's in the format now, because of the Conference League. Winning that group, and I wanted. We had this discussion before the actual draw was made for the group stages. I wanted a competitive group because, for me, the last time we was in Europe, it wasn't that. It was too easy. With all due respect to Dundalk and all that, they didn't really give us the competition we needed. And going into the latter stages, players thought it was, this is fine. We're going to do this, and then we got to Villarreal and then Unai Emery of all people done what he done, and then went on to win it, and now he's back.
But it's a great opportunity for him, Ryan. I managed to catch we have the Spanish news on here in the Netherlands, and my partner is Spanish, so we have the Spanish news on every now and again. And I managed to catch a little bit of his press conference earlier, where he spoke about the sporting opportunities, massive. The sporting opportunity for him, and the timing is good. It's a great club, Aston Villa. He would have learnt a lot, and I'm pleased for him. It just goes to show that you never know what's around the corner in football. And the fact remains that we had a 22-match unbeaten run, and we managed to get to a European final for the first time in 13 years. That's just a fact, And if he'd have got through that sticky period, then things might have been a little bit different. But also, he wasn't back to the tune that Mikel Arteta was. And also, Arteta didn't have Edu and Raul Cinielli bursting into the changing room every home game, did he? He didn't have that. But, Emery had that. And any manager worth his salt, if you've got the sporting director and the chief scout bursting into the dressing room, you'd kick him out. I mean, there's a famous quote from the fantastic documentary of Fatih Terim that's on Netflix about when he managed Fiorentina. They were on the verge of a cup final, and the chairman wanted to come into the dressing room. He said, "If you set one foot inside this dressing room, I'm resigning," and he did. And it was a massive shock to everybody at Fiorentina. Even when they won the cup, they dedicated it to him. But he was like, "No, this is my area. You are not coming in." and it just goes to show. But I think the pace of the movement, you know, he was looked upon as going to Newcastle. You know, Aston Villa is a bigger club. I mean, the catchment area of Newcastle is of course bigger. You know, the stadium I think is 12,000 more, and you know, being in the city centre of Newcastle, but you know, Villa is a bigger club.
Newcastle as well. It's not like it's multiple clubs in the area and this, that, and the other.
Exactly, and you're clued up on that one, my friend. And I think it's a great opportunity for him, and I wish him well. I will not be at Villa Park for the away game, but because I've targeted Leicester away, I think a week later. So yeah, but I think it should be a good game, and I think if I was a Villa fan, I'd be excited because you know he was the one that gave Saka his debut. He was the one that signed Martinelli, you know. So we've got a lot to be grateful for, you know. So we've got to show class, and we've got to wish him well, and enjoy our journey as well. You know, okay, we didn't win last weekend, but we've just got to enjoy the ride, because at the end of the day, your memories, that's the things that you take with you. I mean, it's been 18 years since we've won a league title. I mean, between 53 and 71 and between 71 and 89. But nobody thought in the modern day that we'd end up going 18 years without a league title. So, you know, hopefully that can be nipped in the bud in the next 5 to 10, so that we don't end up as one of these clubs that don't win the league for, you know, 3 decades.
I don't want to be another Liverpool. In terms of all due respect to him, I don't want to be going 30 years.
No. But also as well, Ryan, the dynamic of the game will also change. I mean, you see the disintegration of the 3 o'clock kickoff. You know, I think of the home games I've been to so far this season, only Fulham was a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday afternoon. Aston Villa was midweek. Forest is 2 o'clock on a Sunday. I'm pretty certain in the future that you'll have more and more games at strange hours. And, you know, it's the fans that suffer. So they really need to help fans in that respect. And to make sure that, you know, the welfare of the fans. I mean, I think if my memory serves me rightly, I think Man United play away to Wolves on New Year's Eve at 12:30 in the afternoon. Yep. How does that work? If you're a Manchester fan living in Manchester,
then we're playing New Year's Eve at 5:30?
Yeah, at Brighton, which is doable. But in terms of the geography, it's like they could learn a lot from the Netherlands, where when they plan games in, they always take into account the travel times for fans. You know, like, we're not going to send you to, we're not going to send you all the way. Like, for example, if Maastricht played Groningen, you know, 2 opposite ends of the country, we're not going to send you down there on a Friday night. You know, people have got work commitments and things like that. So be interesting to see what happens. But I just hope we get the point. I'm looking forward to the journey home, because normally it involves a flight from the UK back to the Netherlands, whereas this time I can just get the train. I'm really intrigued what the PSV stewards are going to do when I rock up in the away end, and I greet them in their mother tongue, because they will probably think I'm a PSV fan, and I should say no. And I should say no. I am from London. I've been living in your country for almost 2 decades now. And this is my work permit, my Dutch card that shows my date of birth and my place of birth. So will you please let me in? So I'll be able to tell you that anecdote on
how that goes down on Friday.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know on the WhatsApp chat, of course. I mean, I don't expect any problems at all. You know, when you've got full command of their language to a native level, they're not going to be able to tell the difference. And so even if there is any trouble, all I've got to do is say one thing to them in their mother tongue, and I think they'll retreat quite quickly.
No, and just going back to Miami, just to touch on that, because you've mentioned that as in terms of wishing him luck. And I do wish him luck. And like you say, he was never backed. He had Raul, Sanieri, and Edu constantly. I think even when Josh was over, even Josh was joining the double act and making a trio of it. Going, no matter win, lose or draw, bursting into the change room after the game. It was like, how's that going to help?
Exactly.
And I think from what I've seen, Villa, from snippets on social media, Villa fans are excited, and they believe that obviously he will be backed. He will be given a chance. And I think for him, I'm happy for him in the sense of after everything that went down at Arsenal, his career could have gone a different way in terms of still being management. It could have gone a different way because of just the reputation of you took over from Arsene Wenger, you were the first man. It didn't work out. There's sort of tentative to touch you, but Villarreal took a chance, and he's, as I say, first season comes up against us, puts us in our place, and goes on to win the European Cup.
Yeah,
Not the European Cup, but a European Cup. Sorry, and
absolutely.
Against Manchester United as well, against all the odds. Again, they wouldn't. Again, no one in the British media gave him a cat and hell's chance. I'm there watching the game here, like, come on, Villarreal, come on, because I can't stand United. And yeah, he won their first piece of silverware in their history. And they're currently he's left them 7th in the La Liga. They've obviously got one more game before he goes because he's joining on the 1st of November what his visa's gone through. So he'll just get a game or two in before the World Cup, probably one game before the World Cup, and then he has to do the whole World Cup to reassess things and who doesn't go he'll work with, and who does go he'll just have to keep his have his staff keep an eye on him and all that side of things. And as I say, it's gonna be again Unai Emery, Steven Gerrard. There's a complete contrast in terms of he's an established manager. He knows how he wants his players to play. And certain players that he's inheriting that Villa will suit his system. Certain players, there's a couple of players maybe not, but that's later on down the line. But that's for the summer when that comes about. And as I say, good luck to him. But when it comes to Villa v Arsenal this season, Unai, that goes out the window for 90 minutes.
Well, I think it will be a televised game now, and also as well. I interviewed his former assistant at BLL, Imino Idiakis. And I interviewed him when Imino Idiakis was manager of Larnaca in Cyprus. And I even said to him in that interview, at the time Imino was managing in his own right, I didn't know that he would go on to be Emery's assistant at BLL. And when he was, obviously we had contact. And I even said to him in that interview, I said, as an Arsenal fan, I'm embarrassed at the way my club treated him. And he said, James, he said, I've known him since our days at Real Sociedad together in the youth setup. He will come back fighting. And that's exactly what he did. He came back fighting. And like today, for example, you've got massive footballers that have got fantastic careers. They've got a great example to set, taking the mickey out of his language capability. And I just think it leaves such a bad taste. Because what I did today.
What was worse on that situation? Because I know what situation you're on about. What was worse about that whole situation? It wasn't just random videos that got leaked out that the players may have took and it got leaked out accidentally. Arsenal actually put the video out. Of training sessions when the players are taking the piss. And that didn't sit well with me at the time either.
There's no need for it. And in terms of the social media, when the people love to Mickey take, my response is, how many languages do you speak? Because they won't tell you that. I mean, I literally broke myself to become fluent in Dutch. I'm man enough to admit, Ryan, in the early days, I was useless. But I was 21 years old. I was having a difficult time, but you fight on. And that when you see people, taking people down for mispronunciation and things like that, you imagine somebody wanting to work hard to learn a language to the best of their ability. They'll see that and they might lose confidence, because confidence is the most important thing. When you're firing on all the cylinders, you are firing on all cylinders. And I just think that the people, they were just too rude, really, because I think that when you're in a position when you speak another language, you've got to be confident, you've got to be clear, you've got to be aware of what you're doing, and it is really important. I just think that Arsenal fans didn't do themselves any justice, because we're not like that. As a fan base, we're not like that. But I thought that we let ourselves down, and also as well for the young British players going abroad, wanting to learn the language of the country they ply their trade in. It can add so much to your life, and I just think that people need to think before they speak. We're in a global world now where it's not black and white in so many cases. So it's great to see Unai Emery back. I think it'll be a great game at Villa Park in February, and I might put a cheeky €10 that they might win the League Cup this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised now. They've got him in their play. They've got, as I say, they've got a decent squad. They shouldn't with the squad they shouldn't be where they are, but it is what it is now. They've got. And it's fair play to fair play to the owners of Villa and all that, going out and realising they need an experienced man. And again, the media going, the English media anyway, going, but he's never been in a relegation battle. Don't mean nothing. Look at the players he's
never been in a relegation battle. He managed Almeria. Is that not a relegation battle then?
Yeah, I know. This is again. This is the UK. The UK media don't do the research. This is what I'm saying. The Sky and all that don't do the research.
No, but I'm not being funny. I have no publisher. I had World Football Index publish 185 of my interviews with, among others, Jamie Carragher, Graham Potter, who's now manager at Chelsea. Bob Wilson, Viv Anderson, and Simon Barker, and obviously with a Secret Footballer publisher as well. I'm now currently just enjoying life, but you've got to do your research properly. I mean, I remember speaking to. I have to think. I'm trying to remember which player it was now. I think it was Terry Fenwick. And he played against one of the greatest of all time, Maradona. And I asked him about, I said, managing, he spent time managing in Trinidad and Tobago. And he said, James, you're a real professional, aren't you? I said, yeah, that's what it's all about. I said, when you get someone who's played in a World Cup under Sir Bobby Robson, came up against arguably the greatest of all time, to give you time and to explain things to you. I mean, I remember speaking to Terry Fenwick. And he said, James, I would be man enough to admit to you that I hit Diego Maradona really hard. He said, and he was off the pitch for about 4 minutes. And I thought, I've got him. And then he goes to take a throw in. And then he sees out the corner of his eye, he sees Diego Maradona coming back on the pitch at the Azteca. And the first thing Maradona does is go up to Terry Fenwick and he said, Fenwick, he said, I've been punched and kicked all over the world. He said, I'm here. He said, I'm back and I'm here to win. And look what he did. Yeah. And, these types of stories, and like you say about not doing your research, to say that he's never been involved in a relegation battle. He managed Almeria, who are now in La Liga, but he managed to get them up for the first time in 24 years. So the first time in 24 years, they go up to the top division. And I think if memory serves me rightly, they beat Barcelona and they drew with Valencia. And so it's in arguably the toughest league in the world. People love to talk about the Premier League.
And that's why he got noticed with Sevilla, and he got the job with Sevilla, and then obviously St. Petersburg, and then PSG, us, because of where it all began and what he achieved doing that. Again, with Klopp, when he started his career, got where he took them from, and where he ended up with. It's them things that people, again, we mentioned already, Graham Potter, Otterson's a couple of years ago, 2016, against us. He's now the manager of Chelsea.
Yeah. And a really interesting facet about that, I interviewed him after a couple of weeks after that game, when he was manager of Ostersund's, and he said to me, James, he said, do you know what was really important? We knew that Arsenal were going to be down after the Derby defeat. He said, and not scoring that second goal in the second half cost us. But when I spoke to him, he harboured ambitions of taking Ostersund's to the Champions League. He obviously wishing him well on his journey. But one of the great things about him, Ryan, was he was speaking about Cyril Regis, who West Brom fans will know. And he said it was being in a dressing room with Cyril Regis that taught him how to treat people. He said how to treat people how you want to be treated yourself. He said, and when Cyril Regis spoke, you listened. And I think it's really refreshing what Chelsea have done. The best English manager, they've hired him. I think that Scott Parker has got a great future in front of him. I think Chris Wilder deserves to be a Premier League manager, but timing is everything. It really is. And I think that Aston Villa have really learned from the appointment of Gerrard, because I was watching a great a great interview with Brian Clough before he passed away yesterday, from I think 2003, 2004.
Yeah, about that time.
Where it might have been even earlier. Actually, it might have been about 98, I think. And he was saying about players that have only just hung up their boots and go into management when it's a completely different game. It really is. It's a completely different game to have to take charge of literally everything, in terms of what players do and contracts and that kind of things. And you see about the interference of which is becoming more and more prevalent. The interference from chief executives. Surely you employ a manager to manage your team, and you must give him time. And I just think the spotlight of the Premier League, the lights are shining bright. You got Leicester that have had a good result at the weekend, so coming back again. But I still can't believe with Leicester that they leave Dennis Praet, Jamie Vardy, and Mark Albrighton on the bench. I think if you're going to do that, then you're asking for a payoff, aren't you? Surely those three, they're your three best players along with Tielemans. So if they're fit, they play, surely.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's what, when in terms of that side of things, that's what Brendan Rodgers needs to learn. Even though he's an experienced manager nowadays, he needs to learn. He needs to learn, and basically, he is learning because, as you say, the results are now starting to pick up a bit in the right direction. But time will tell how long that will last. And on that side of things, obviously, we saw it again at the weekend. Before we go back to Arsenal, wrap this up. Nottingham Forest couldn't find a win for the love of the money up till Saturday. They're going up against a rejuvenated Liverpool from the last couple of weeks. And again, it's at the City ground. The fans are going up for it because there's a rivalry there going back and forth. And again, the Premier League history, that Liverpool never won at the City ground as well. So that hanging over Klopp's head and the players' heads. Rangers, Forest actually decided, no, we're going to turn up. We're not going to make you have the 3 points by just bending over and allowing you to just steamroll us. We're going to actually make you work for it. And if we get a chance, we're going to take it. And they took it. And then they defended as a unit resolutely to the bitter end. At no point, if I'm being brutally honest here with Liverpool again going for that game, at no point did I think that Liverpool would score, even at 0-0, because of the way Forest is set up and way against another younger manager going through, who's achieved things already under 17, the English under 17 World Cup with lots of Smith Rowe, Foden, and all that a few years back. The job he did at Swansea, and in the obviously most recently what he's done at Forest, obviously coming in the bottom of Championship, favourites to go down at that point, to turn it around so quickly in that season and get him not just get him promoted, but get him into a playoff final and give him that chance in the first place, but then to get promoted, and obviously they're back in the Premier League. They've had a few wins. Yeah, obviously there's a bit of reality checks in certain games because obviously it's been so long and they haven't got squad-wise Premier League proven players, but they're showing now they're willing to fight. No matter what they're Premier League proven or not, they're willing to fight for the badge and for the club and to be in the Premier League again, have that Premier League status for another season and go from that. But again, the media just want to, because it's not enforced and how they've started, and as I say, they couldn't find a win for love the money. They're quite happy to. The media are quite happy to vote them sort of teams off against Liverpool because they've won a couple of games.
Well, Liverpool are currently in Amsterdam. I know a lot of Gooners that are flying into Rotterdam and Eindhoven to avoid Liverpool fans in Amsterdam, but there's really no need to do that. The city can take everybody. There's room for everybody. But be very interesting to see what happens. But as we know, Ryan, it's a long old season, as we know only too well. So we've got to enjoy the ride. I mean, from my point of view, attending the games from Amsterdam again, it's a very ambitious season, but then one you can look back on with pride, with 6 games already, it's just amazing, but also standing still for 2.5 years. So it's about just giving everything you've got and enjoying it as well, and knowing that, it's not going to last forever. So looking forward to a very busy week. That's
especially
what
tomorrow.
It's all about, though, isn't it?
I think tomorrow's will be the busiest at the 2 days for you, obviously, the travel and all that, and obviously bits and pieces got to do in between.
Yeah.
But going back to the Arsenal side, before we wrap things up, we mentioned it before about the draw at the weekend. It wasn't the best. It wasn't the result we wanted, obviously, as Arsenal fans, but it wasn't the worst thing. We didn't lose. I've seen a lot of people on the socials having an absolute meltdown and panicking now that the fatigue's kicking in and we're being found out, things like that. No, I don't think it was the case. I think first off, it's a combination of certain players being overplayed in terms of not just Premier League. They've been played in the Europa League as well, even against the likes of Zurich and Bodo Glimt before the PSV game and things like that. And it obviously with all that, the fatigue's now kicking in with certain players. And after the first 45 minutes of Sunday's game, you could see the fatigue kicked in again with them same players, the Xhakas, the Salibas, and Tomiyasu even as well. That the fatigue was kicking in, and it was just like the performance then went compared to what it was in the first half, where we came out guns blazing, pinned them in their half, and basically we were unlucky. Referee decisions aside for a second, we'll get into that later if you want to, or whatever. But that to the side, we had chances. If we had taken at least two more of them chances along with the goal, the game would have been out of sight. And obviously, we're not complaining about the ref then, come the full-time whistle. But again, it's not the end of the world. Again, certain fans on the socials are going, going absolutely doing what they're doing. That in terms of having to complain to get tweets and this, that, and the other, and all that malarkey. This is why I don't, even no matter win, lose, or draw, I don't react after the game on social media. I soak it in, let it go in for half hour or so, and then I'll do my thing on here or whatever. But we're in a position where we again, as a fan, me and you, even Dawes in the chat, is not the fights. Gary has popped in as well. We didn't expect us. If someone said to you 11 games in, Arsenal top of the league by 2 points over City, you would have snapped your hand off, obviously, but you wouldn't believe it because our ambition was Europe just going the one step further from last season. A title race for this season wasn't in our mindset.
No.
But suddenly, because we start the season so well in terms of the majority of the games we're winning, apart from obviously Southampton United aside. So it seems certain fans, their perspective goes out the window in terms of what they thought at the start of the season, and as soon because we've done what we've done, we've got to maintain it now. Again, you've got to remember this is a young team.
Exactly.
So again, it's good. We're going to have, and again, even Man City, of all their money, they have these performances. They've had these performances this season. Newcastle 3-3, 1-1 against Aston Villa under Steven Gerrard, underperforming Aston Villa, for example. They lost against Liverpool as well. We beat them the week prior. And there's another game this season where they've dropped points, and they've dropped a lot of points this season, Man City. But no, you don't see anyone in terms of Man City side having a meltdown over it. I know because they were probably expecting to still go and win the league, but our fans we've only dropped 5 points this season. The basis of my thing is if we only dropped 5 points, that's it. We are where we are. If we finish in the top two this season, that is amazing. That is fantastic. That's an amazing achievement for not just Arteta, but for the players we've got, considering, again, we are the second youngest squad in the league. We have no... Again, at this moment in time, we have no divine right to be in that position, but we are plugging away, taking it game by game. And that's what you've got to do, game by game, be it Europe or Premier League. You game by game. But I do expect the likes of Tomiyasu maybe to be vested on Thursday. But yeah, anyway, I'll let you put your 2 pence into what I've just said. I did
No, absolutely. We're always about respecting each other and working together. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And it's always about working together in that respect. Yeah. And I think you make some great points. And I think the people getting overzealous on social media, have they ever seen Arsenal win the league? Have they ever seen Arsenal?
Even though I'm beating season, I think this is what I'm saying.
You've never seen Arsenal win the league. No. People saying that you've never seen it.
Sorry, even in our unbeaten season, we got points we should have lost. let's be honest, performance-wise, we weren't at the races entirely 38 games non-stop. There was games even the players said we just got over the line. We just knew how to get over the line, and these players are going to learn that game by game, especially the younger players.
Absolutely, and we've got to enjoy the journey. You know, in the current, I mean, I don't have Twitter anymore due to the
you mentioned it last week.
you know, being contacted by professional clubs and expecting me to do their job for them when I'm not contracted by the club. It's starting to happen on LinkedIn as well, unfortunately, but it's just one of those things. You know, we've got to enjoy the journey. You know, as I say, the most important thing is the memories. You know, we've met up at many games. I still remember the memory of coming on after reaching the final of the Europa League. You know, so I think that fans, at the end of the day, fans have their opinion, but you got to live for the moment as well. You know, I remember seeing you after the Chelsea game where we beat them 2-0 in January. You know, and the European nights as well with Rennes and Napoli that we met up and had fun. You know, and chewing the fat and discussing the game. And you know, with social media, it's like a big echo chamber, and people say they have clout and those kind of things. But at the end of the day, you have to back up your opinions. I mean, I remember with one of my last tweets, I think, was an influencer in inverted commas proclaiming who was the worst player of every Premier League team, and they mentioned Mwembo from Brighton, from Brentford. Sorry, my mistake. Mwembo from Brentford, and my response to them was, in the real world, here is an interview with Harry Tofolo, who mentions that Mbeumo is one of the best wingers that he's faced. He's just a really, really good player. And then Mbeumo retweeted that himself. So, you know, in all this expertise of opinions and players and managers, you know, when you deal with proper professionals like today, I mean, the news of Unai Emery, you've got people, you know, respected footballers that are, you know, mispronouncing good evening. What did I do today? I take it upon myself to message Imanol Diakes, who was his previous assistant at Villarreal, to say, can you do me a favour, Imanol? Can you please pass on my congratulations to Unai Emery regarding the Aston Villa job? What a fantastic opportunity it is for him. And, you know, it's about being professional at all times. It's what it's all about. And I think with social media, I think people forget, you know, you're dealing with professionals. You know, we've spoken about mental health in the past, how important that is, how important it is to compliment players, to look at players. And even if they don't play for your team, you know, if you rate them, stick with them. I mean, I'm sure there's people watching tonight that wouldn't know who Benjamin Bourigeaud is. Who is he? He's one of the best wingers in France, who nobody has picked up, but he's doing really, really well for Rennes. And Rennes, they're on the verge of the knockout phase of the Europa League for doing really well in Ligue 1. And, you know, it just goes to show. And it's always about making sure that, I mean, people that know me on this platform will know that I think Mark Albrighton is an amazing footballer. I can't believe he's never been capped by England. But because these players don't cost £50 million, or because they haven't gone on a live stream with an influencer, nobody knows who they are. But what they are amazing footballers. If you know your football, you know they are fantastic players.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as you say, influencers that want to be, in inverted commas, by the way, that want to make out that they are the be all and end all of football, social media, and football on YouTube and things like that. They know everything because of their clout and all that. They need to straight their necks in. It's just it's like the numbers, because the more the numbers go up for them social media wise, the more they believe their own self-worth, basically, and it is what it is.
And the hype as well. But if you put them opposite a professional footballer, they might get stunned. And one thing they couldn't do, Ryan, they certainly couldn't interview a footballer in a foreign language. No, they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that for love nor money. Whereas I'm fortunate enough to be able to do it with Dutch players and managers in their mother tongue. When you've got the likes of Maurice Stijn, who was, when I spoke to him, he managed VVV Venlo. He's now managing Sparta Rotterdam, who've had a great start to the season. And when I was invited into his managerial office, I said, I had all my notes. I was well prepared, but you've got to be, off the cuff sometimes. I said, you've got a poster with Jose Mourinho hanging up above your desk. How did that picture come about with Jose Mourinho? And he said, James, he said, when you want to become a professional football manager, you have to have an internship at a professional club. I said, and he said, my friendship with Ruud van Nistelrooy enabled me to get the gig at Real Madrid, where I shadowed Jose Mourinho for a week when he was manager there. He said, and what I learned was just invaluable, how to deal with players, how to deal with the press. And it's really held Maurice Stein in good stead, because he had a difficult spell at NAC Breda, where the fans went after him a little bit, and there were threats regarding his family and his own safety, which was nothing short of ridiculous. But Sparta Rotterdam, the oldest club in the Netherlands, he's finding his feet again. He's doing a fantastic job. So it just goes to show. So I really enjoyed tonight. Ryan, been great as always, pal, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it. And I look forward to telling you the fallout of PSV. If there's any segments on Dutch news, I'll post them through to you and give you the translation afterwards.
Yeah, no worries. Got a couple of things for you about things. I love the name, by the way, Goose McDoug. It's going back to what you said before about the Arsenal social media. He's saying, even with Southampton's result, this is the happiest I have been with the club for a long while. A few additions to strengthen will be a massive help. And that's what, again, we've got to check the January window. Because of the World Cup, we've got a couple more games before the window opens. Because we've got, after this, in terms of league-wise, after Sunday against Forest at home, there's only 2 more games, isn't there? And then obviously 2 more games after the World Cup, and then it's the window opens. So 4 games, basically, league games. As it stands, PSV, Brighton in the Cup, and Zurich next week. Yeah. In the league, in the Europa League, finished that off. So it's not that long. Realistically, because again, as I say, because of the World Cup, it ain't that far away now. So, and again, the clubs, because of this World Cup, certain clubs, like you'd hope Arsenal, obviously, will be looking right now in terms of, okay, we've got a month and a half or whatever because of the World Cup to sort of do even more digging on the players we want. Can we get them in now, or do we have to wait? If we do have to wait, is there a plan B? And this, that, and the other. And I think with how the ownership and Edu and the rest of the hierarchy, along with Arteta, have operated in the last 13, 14 months now, even longer actually, I don't have even though they did what they did, they took the risk in last January, I don't think they'll do that risk again. They'll learn from that. And they will be more mindful and have more of a plan of who they realistically can add to this squad in January. And not just for the sake of it, obviously, but for the good of the squad in terms of they are going to come in and they're going to improve this squad. They're going to give us something extra to get us over the line, be it in Europe or League or whatever, or both. And in the grand scheme of things, we've still got Emil Smith-Rowe. He's around the corner from coming back from knee surgery. He'll be back just before the new year. So second half of the season, touch wood, he stays injury free. We're going to have a 6-month period of having him fully fit. So we've got an option of there where we can put him either in the Odegaard role or the where Martinelli is down on the left wing, or put him where Saka is on the right, things like that. We've got Fabio Vieira, who's still blossoming. He's still adapting to the league and still adapting to a new club and a new culture. And a new language as well. And he's so far from what we're hearing in certain interviews, his English ain't bad, but obviously it'll get better. Obviously with the team he's got around him. And as he develops on the pitch, we're going to see a lot more of him this season as well. And obviously Reece Nelson and players like that. There's players that we've already got that we haven't seen much of that at some point going to be called upon, and they could potentially give us something we haven't seen yet that will be the difference maker in how our season ends, be it with a cup or wherever.
Yes, let's hope so. As I say, buying in January, people love to say that they love to identify all the targets and be in the know. As I've said many times before, Ryan, I've spoken to many young professionals, and often they are promised the earth. And sometimes they arrive at clubs where it doesn't turn out to be what they were promised. So, they've got to be very wary of the players that they go for, what they offer the player as well. That's very important. And, togetherness is very important. It's a very delicate time. And, people love to dictate about, he's only worth 15 million pounds. He must be rubbish. No, he's an excellent footballer. And, we did well with Fabio Vieira. Vitinha from Porto went to Paris Saint-Germain. He's also doing very well. So we've just got to see how we go. I know there's lots of talk of Cody Gakpo, but I can't see it. I can't see that happening. I think he'll finish the season with PSV. I'm pretty certain of that. And obviously with the World Cup, there'll be many new talents as well. I'm sure lots of people will get to know Kenneth Taylor of Ajax, who's a very good player. And be interesting to see who Van Gaal picks. I know that we don't need a goalkeeper at this precise moment in time, but I will say one thing: the goalkeeper Mark Flecken of Freiburg is a brilliant goalkeeper. I hope he gets the number one slot for the Netherlands. I was fortunate enough to interview him in 2018 when he was playing in the German third division. He came through the youth setup at Roda SC, and was playing clubs in the lower regions of Germany before signing for Freiburg. And it would be great if Van Gaal gives him the number one slot over Sillissen, because at the minute here in the Netherlands, people are talking about the goalkeeping position. I think you'll see a back line of Dumfries, Van Dijk, possibly Stefan de Vrij or Matthijs de Ligt. So it'll be very interesting to see how it comes. And I'm sure there'll be many new players during the World Cup that people will go, we should sign him. But remember, it's a tournament. I remember touting Denzel Dumfries when he played for Sparta Rotterdam when he first come through. And you knew he was a great player. He was going to be a great player. I spoke to his former teammate Rick Ketting, who was with him in the Sparta Rotterdam Youth Academy. And he said he was very much a late bloomer. And I remember in 2019 saying, that he's come up the way, Sparta, Heerenveen, PSV. And now there's rumours of him obviously going to Inter. There's rumours of him going to Chelsea. So it just goes to show that when you catch a player quite young, that you can follow their career and see how well they do.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, the last question before we wrap things up, bear with me, James. It's from Russ. He says, why did Emily turn down Newcastle only a few months ago? Obviously, about a year ago, actually. But I think what I can make out, it was literally his group with him and the group stages of the Champions League last season. And this was literally on the night. From what I've been informed in terms of the UK media, what they put out, again, it's a take a bit of pinch of salt because it's UK media, obviously. Everything had been agreed in terms of the compensation and him coming to Newcastle, but he wanted to get midweek out the way and the weekend, and then come over the following week. And I did a big announcement after the weekend's La Liga game after that finished. And somehow, just before Villarreal kicked off in the group stage game in the midweek on the Wednesday night, it leaked out. And obviously, and then obviously suspended the betting and all that. And obviously, Villarreal went on to lose because obviously when it broke here, it broke away throughout Europe as well. He got wind of that during half time, but full time he was absolutely livid, and he thought, you know what, that I don't want to go there now, because in his perspective, he believed the club did that deliberately to make it go quicker, to force him to come quicker, and he believed the club weren't getting run properly then. So he thought, you know what, I'm going to stay put. And that's obviously you probably add more to the bone, but that's what I've heard at the time, and then since then. I mean, from what we gather here, is obviously everything's gone smoothly here in terms of everything's come out when it's meant to come out, and it's not on the day of a game or anything like that. It's literally like, this is the situation. And he obviously did his interview today, his press conference today. He was in tears. He got a round of applause from all the media that was there as well. but he's obviously staying put until the 1st of November because he's got visa stuff to get dealt with. But in the meantime, he's still going to remain the Villarreal head coach until then. So he's going to be, was it tonight or tomorrow night, and then on the weekend?
Well, just goes to show, as I say, I read that the decision to remain at Villarreal was also a personal decision due to spending more time with his son. I remember I read Guillaume Balaguer's piece where he said, from a personal level, the opportunity to spend more time with his son, who has apparently encouraged him to take the Villa job, which I think is quite noble. Shades of Sir Bobby Robson, older viewers might remember, and for people that love reading, the autobiography of Sir Bobby Robson is nothing short of incredible. It's the best football book I've ever read. When Bobby Robson was approached by Everton to become their manager, he initially agreed. And they gave him a cheque for £50,000. Remember, this was in the 80s. And he said, I'll do it on one condition and one condition only. This doesn't come out in the press. It came out in the press, and Sir Bobby Robson threw away and tore in half a cheque for £50,000 in the 80s. And that's just unreal. I'm not sure how much that would be in today's money, but very much a man of principle. And I mean, the greatest English manager there has ever been. I mean, I know Clough comes a very close second, and of course Ferguson was Scottish. But to have success at PSV Eindhoven, to have success at Barcelona, at Porto, as well as Newcastle in terms of what he did for the club, and how well he's revered. I mean, I still can't quite believe, when he passed on, PSV did a tribute video to Sir Bobby Robson, and his Dutch isn't amazing, but his pronunciation of certain words is nothing short of world class. And to stand on a balcony when they win the league, and to say to all the people standing there in Dutch, that translates to ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'd like to thank you all. I just thought it's very much the mark of a man, quite simply the greatest English manager at club level there has ever been.
Yeah, to a point where he even had an impact on Jose Mourinho in terms of he's public. Mourinho comes out and says it publicly whenever Bobby Robson has been mentioned in press conferences or passing, how much of an impact he had in his own, not just on the day job, but in his personal life as well. And I do think because he's with Bobby Robson and the Newcastle connection and all that, I think it's no rush or anything like that. There's no need, because obviously Eddie Howe's doing a fantastic job. But I think Mourinho's got one eye on that now, just because he wants to honour Sir Bobby in terms of the love he had for him. And again, we saw when Sir Bobby passed, how much it affected Mourinho himself in that moment, because obviously I can't remember who was that. I think it was at Chelsea, wasn't it? Or something like that. Either way, but you saw emotionally how much it affected him and how long it took for him to sort of absorb what was going on and what had happened with Sir Bobby and all that. And even Gazza, going back to going off Mourinho quickly, Paul Gascoigne. The last time we saw Sir Bobby was a charity match at St James's Park, and he's on a wheel. I think his son's wheeling down the line with a wheelchair of all the players, and he sees Gaz, and he's like, "How you doing, my boy? I hope you're keeping well," and things like that. Like, because he knew what Paul was going through and things like that. And Paul says that choked me up, because even now, even X amount of years later, he's still looking out for me. He's still thinking about me. He still wants to talk this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
that human touch of a person. Interacting, as you said earlier about managers, they want to be treated like Graham Potter. What he learned about treat people how you want to be treated, and Bobby Robson was another mark of that. Like he gave respect to all his players and all the people around him, and as you say, you'll find it hard to come close to finding an English manager ever come close to him in our lifetime, probably, because of not just what he did with that England squad, but as you say, domestically with the clubs and all that. PSV, going to PSV, and taking them from where they were to where you got them to, like league champions and a force in your time, going to Barcelona, and even when he wasn't getting the respect and love from Barcelona media and fans because he wasn't the personality they thrived on basically back then, he still achieved. He still was it a treble the season he actually got given he won a treble and they booted him. That's how disrespectful they were at the time. But he achieved something even that back then wasn't deemed possible. Even with that, with Barcelona, that's Barcelona we're talking about here.
But back then the landscape had changed, Ryan, and I think what you've just said sums it up. I mean, we are both still quite young, but you summed it up quite brilliantly, where you said that in our lifetime there won't be another manager who comes close. There won't be. There won't be another English manager who comes close. I think someone who could come close, I think, could be Graham Potter in terms of what he does after Chelsea. I would love to see him maybe go to Spain or maybe come to the Netherlands. And I remember when I spoke to Graham Potter, and I said before we finished our conversation, I said to him, if you ever get any overtures from the Netherlands and you need a second opinion, feel free to give me a shout. And he said, I will do. So you never know. He could end up an Ajax or PSV manager in future. Who knows?
You know what? Because of how he sets these teams up, I think it would fit in perfectly in the Indonesia in general because of the way the Dutch the total football basically. The open play, attacking, free flying football. I think he'll be suited to that perfectly. But as I say, it's interesting what he does after Chelsea because it's going to come to a point where he either moves on himself for the worst case. But I don't think that will happen in worst case. I mean, it'd be more of a I need to get fresh eyes somewhere else and expand my horizons, as you basically touched on there.
He has the experience of already having been in Sweden. I think it's too obvious to think that he'll get the England job after Southgate, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens. But I've really enjoyed tonight, Ryan. I hope everybody else has too, and I look forward to letting you know how PSV went.
What's your score prediction for Thursday out of interest with everything that's happened in the last few days with both clubs?
1-1.
1-1, and that would be us.
1-1.
That would qualify us for top good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then we'll have to book in the last 16 slot. But of course, we'll speak well before then, especially with the World Cup. With the World Cup coming up, previewing the Netherlands and a couple of games and stuff.
Yeah, we'll do all that. We'll definitely do all that. We'll discuss all that offline.
Sounds good.
Probably before. Sorry, not before. Just after the last Premier League game, the Wolves game, just before the World Cup gets under. The Wolves game is like 2 weeks after the Wolves game. The World Cup gets underway.
The 12th of November at 7:45 local time. So I will be at that game. I'll be in Amsterdam the following afternoon, and then I don't have any games until Brighton away. So I'll have plenty of time. So look forward to it. I hope everybody's enjoyed it, and look forward to next time.
No worries. And as I say, if you're around Friday, obviously, no matter what the result is, obviously, because you're at the game, if you're around Friday, you want to do a quick show on how your experience was on the day and on the night and review the match itself, let me know and we'll sort that out on Friday. Apart from that, guys, as I say, thanks to everyone in the chat that's popped on and the new faces. Again, I love that name. Goose McDuck. I absolutely love it. Completely. It's actually different as well. But yeah. McDuck, the old childhood cartoons and all that. He's going for 3-1. Take care, everyone. Russ says, Steve McLaren, I'll go away, Steve. Russ, go away. That's insulting. Especially if he's intake on the Dutch language or his however he bloody took it. No. But yeah, the audio for this is going to be out in the next half hour, guys. So if you listen to this on Spotify or any other audio platform, do give us a rating and do spread the word. It does help get the audio side of things spread about a bit more. And if you're new to the channel, do smash that like button, do subscribe, and do share the content around, because again, it does help the channel. It does help the YouTube side of things and the algorithm get more notice, more people, more eyes on it. And yeah, it's massively appreciated this end. And if you want to become a member, details are below in terms of the two levels, 99p, £2.99. All you got to do is click join in your browser, and it'll give you the options, and you go from there. It's a month-by-month thing, so it's an option, obviously, as I say. Apart from that, I will now see you guys on Thursday for a back-to-back watch along, because it's both the men and women playing on Thursday. Yay, in European games. The men off first against PSV is an early kick-off there, and then straight after that, got the women's game against Zurich at the Emirates. I'll be covering both games in one stream, more likely, because it's literally bang bang back to back. As one game finishes, the other one kicks off. And then Friday, as I say, if James is about and there's an availability to do it, we'll do a show on Friday. Saturday, get back to the match of the day stream, even though Arsenal ain't playing. Again, keep an eye on the teams in and around us, and the teams, even the teams that are low down in the league. And Sunday, 2 watch-alongs on Sunday, completely separate, because Arsenal play on 2 p.m. Even though I'll be at the game on Sunday actually, but there will be one way or the other, there will be a stream for that, and then I'll be coming back just in time for the women against the Arsenal women away to West Ham. So I'll be here for that one and then the podcast and all that on the Monday onwards, and we'll go from there basically. But yeah, massively appreciate you guys again. Massive thank you to James for contacting me early and giving me a time slot for now to get this done. And I've been looking forward to this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it, because if it does do well, as I say, we'll be looking to do this as the knockout stages progress in the second half of the season as well, no matter if it's a Dutch team or non-Dutch team. So, but yeah, until then, guys, as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you Gunners.